Hi there, I'm Drew Badger, the world's #1 English fluency guide, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to another advanced listening practice lesson. Well, one of my most favorite things to do as an educator is to remind people of skills and talents and things that they forgot that they had. And especially one of those for, maybe sometimes I will talk about the confidence that people have. You might have confidence in one area of your life, but maybe not confidence in something else. You can learn how to take that confidence and move it to a different part of your life. Most people are fairly confident about some things, but maybe not everything. This is just a typical thing, but you can learn how to take that confidence from one part of your life and move it to another one. So in this video, actually, I don't want to talk about confidence so much. This is actually reminding you of something. It's like confidence, but reminding you that you already speak at least 2 different languages. So most people speak maybe 2 or 3 or even 4 different languages, but not really in the way that they think. The typical way that people would think about languages is, do I speak English or Japanese or Korean or any other language? But what we kind of forget actually in everyday life is that we speak in a different way, maybe around our parents. Maybe if you go to school, you speak in a different way around your teachers. You even use different languages, or the tone of your voice or your attitude and your behavior are different. And then you speak a different way around your friends. So typically people, and again, I'm saying like typically because most people assume this, most people have this situation in their life, and it's a great word. Typically, I recommend you begin using it if you don't use it already. In general, this is kind of a side note in this lesson, but listen to the way I speak and the way I use words and just model that for you being able to speak in your own conversations. Because the way I'm speaking here, I try to speak in a very specific way that I could use in an everyday conversational sense. When I'm just having conversations with people, this is how I speak. Or in a more professional setting, I could speak in the same way. So the way I'm speaking now, I'm intentionally speaking in a certain way that's really appropriate for many different situations. But this video specifically is kind of the opposite of that. So I want you to remember that when you're maybe, let's say you're 25 years old, 30 years old, and then you go back and you stay with your parents for maybe a week or something on a vacation, you tend to become a bit more childlike, even if you're not being childish. So this just means that you're not behaving like a child, but you tend to, you go back to that role of your parents, and then you are the child. So instead of maybe you're far away from them, if you're talking on the phone with your mother about something or your father, maybe as an adult, you're kind of equal with them. But if you go stay with them for a while, maybe you're like, hey, Dad, could you do the dishes? Or Mom, could you wash my clothes? Or, something like that. The kinds of things, the kind of roles that we have when we're young. Now, in addition to that, you might even recognize, I've had friends, so when I was growing up in Chicago, I had friends of lots of different ethnicities because the area Hyde Park where I grew up, this is an area with lots of different kinds of people from many different cultures. And so I had friends from all over the world. So people that had parents that had maybe come to America from different countries. And often they would speak on the phone. I had one friend, she would speak to me normally, excuse me. But then she was actually from Sri Lanka. And so she would speak just in a normal, everyday accent, the way I'm speaking now. But as soon as she would talk to her mother on the phone, she would have kind of a British accent. Now, it was like the way her mother speaks, and that was the way she was raised. But it's interesting to see how people just switch, because it's not really the language so much as you're taking on a different identity. Now, the identity that I have maybe as a person that's educating people right now is different from the identity I have when I'm, speaking to my close friends that I've had ever since I was a young boy. So the way I might speak again with them is different than the way I might speak with my parents, or even to if I meet the president of some country, I'm probably going to be more polite, a bit more formal in my speech and the way my tone is, my expression, but I don't think about it as changing my language. I'm thinking about it more as like an actor. Now, we do this subconsciously. We don't really think about it when we're doing this, and we approach people that we know, or that we see them in a different way, and sometimes it's weird. It's like when you see your teacher, especially as a young child, maybe you remember this, when you were a young child, 10 years old or younger than that, and you're going to school, and then you go out to a restaurant and you see your teacher. like at a, across the restaurant. So your teacher is like having a conversation or doing something and you're like, wow, the teacher is an actual real person that has a real life outside of school. And it's something you realize as you get older, but it's seeing that person in a different situation. It breaks that like spell of how you see them. And it's just a thing I'd like to remind you about, that you already have this ability in you. And now you just need to take it and think about more in the same way that I talk about the English fluency habits, that the secret to fluency is not trying to learn a whole bunch of more information. It's about developing the habits and being someone that can speak fluently. So how can I look at someone that's already fluent and model their behavior? So if I'm trying to learn Japanese, I'm not trying to learn from a teacher. I'm trying to learn from native Japanese speakers. How do they speak? And I try to look at the difference between where I am and where they are for each of the 7 English fluency habits, and then I improve from there. But all this, the idea of the 7 fluency habits is about identity, not about learning more information. So in the same way that you would speak differently when you're with your parents or with your friends or with people at school, that's the same thing that applies to learning English. So don't think about trying to learn different vocabulary and focus so much on that. Think about the identity of someone that speaks English, learning about the culture, learning about the ideas, and focus more on that. So when you can focus on the identity, that's the kind of thing that will help you improve your fluency much more, because you're not thinking about the individual things. You're trying to create an identity for yourself, and that will pull you to where you want to go. That will pull you to mastering the grammar and to becoming a more confident speaker and to using normal conversational language just like a native speaker would. So take the skills that you already have and begin thinking about the identity that you want to have as a native English speaker, even if you are not an actual native English speaker yourself. So the point is to become that way. At least that's your model. You might not make it all the way there, but you can get much, much closer than you are right now. Absolutely. Well, that's it for this lesson. If you have enjoyed it, do click that like button. I really like hearing your thoughts, so let me know in the conversation below, and just, make a comment if you'd like. If you want to know more about the 7 English fluency habits and how to develop them, or if you have questions about anything else. I look forward to reading those, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Become a subscriber, share this video, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye. To continue learning, click on the link in this video to download Speak English Naturally, our free guide to speaking and sounding like a native English speaker. The guide reveals the 3 most important kinds of conversational English you must learn if you want to sound native, and will help you experience instant improvement in your fluency and speaking confidence. To download your free guide on a mobile device, click on the link in the upper right of this video. To download your free guide from a computer, click on the link in the lower right of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the guide.